Last time we met a compulsive cheater whose DM built him the perfect trap, a purple peacock man who worships himself as a god. A character so tailor-made for his narcissism that he agreed enthusiastically to the premise that every god in the Forgotten Realms wants him destroyed. He promised he'd changed, he promised the cheating was over. It wasn't, and the things Zerkek does with that command spell, with young women, with that ridiculous peacock tail. Let's just say the DM was watching, and waiting. Zerkek's very first outing with the party was a heist. They needed to break into a safe hidden inside an upscale residence, a fancy house with 3 daughters, all debutantes. The plan was simple. The half-elf warlock would pose as a gentleman caller and distract the family while the rest of the party snuck in through the back. Zerkek was supposed to be his wingman, emphasis on supposed. The moment they walked through the front door, Zerkek shoved the warlock aside, shouldered into the room where the ladies were, and unfurled his giant peacock tail, completely blocking the doorway behind him. An actual peacock block. The warlock couldn't even get through. The 3 girls stared at him wide-eyed, and that's when the party realized something. Only one of these girls was 18, the other 2 were underage. The warlock hissed at him to just focus on the 18-year-old. Zerkek smirked and said that since he's technically a 3-year-old aarakocra, they're all available to him. I need you to understand, a 30-something-year-old man said this out loud at a table full of people and thought it was charming. There is no amount of it's what my character would do that covers this. None, 0. For the rest of the mission, Zerkek played a liar while dropping terrible one-liners, hypnotized the girls with his tail feathers, and at one point, cast the command spell on the 14-year-old to force her to stop crying from sensory overload. Not to comfort her, not to help to make her shut up. And this became a pattern. Zerkek never used command on enemies, only on young women, only when they were vulnerable. The party came across a little girl in distress. Her friends had just died in an explosion caused by a necklace of fireballs. She'd found the necklace but was still in shock, too traumatized to let it go. Did Zerkek try to console her, talk to her, show any shred of empathy? No, he used command to force her to hand it over. There's a special place in the 9 hells for clerics who use divine magic exclusively to bully children. Zerkek would feel right at home there, except he'd probably try to become the god of it. The DM noticed this pattern and decided to test just how far it went. Remember the 18-year-old from the heist? She showed up at the party's house. She'd run away from her parents. She wanted to become Zerkek's high priestess. She fell to his feet, literally groveled, prayed, worshipped. And Zerkek, he started laughing. He began ordering her around, tiny trivial tasks, pick that up, move that there, stand over here, just to watch her obey. He was cackling. Then she picked up a knife and started carving a Z into her own forehead. The other party members freaked out. They objected, they yelled, they tried to intervene. Only then, only after the other players said something, did Zerkek use command to make her stop. And then, gleefully, he told her, "You're only allowed to do what I order you to do." This is a 30-year-old man, playing a fantasy bird person, watching a teenager mutilate herself in his honor, and his reaction is to laugh and then claim ownership of her. I want to stress, the DM did not script this. This is what the player chose to do when given the opportunity. Every single time the DM tested where the line was, this player sprinted past it. The next session, the girl was gone. The DM explained she'd been sent to finishing school by a concerned NPC, quietly removed from the story before things got worse. That was Zerkek's relationship with NPCs. If they were young women, he was all over them. If they were enemies, he wanted nothing to do with them. Just like Kralis before him, Zerkek refused to fight. His go-to tactic was simple: fly away. He'd take to the sky and hover on the outskirts of combat while his party bled on the ground below. As a cleric, the only person he would ever heal was himself, and the DM made him work for it every time, pull out his holy symbol, a little hand mirror, gaze into it to glimpse his divine self gazing back, and pray a lengthy narcissistic prayer, all just to cast a healing spell on himself while the warlock was dying. I cannot stress enough, this man cheated to make his character powerful, then refused to use that power to help anyone. He was a cleric who wouldn't heal, a monk who wouldn't fight, and a bird who only flew away. He was 3 classes of useless stacked in a peacock suit. And through all of this, the cheating never stopped. He'd learned not to mess with his stats anymore, the DM had trained him out of that at least. But his HP, that was another story. Every fight, he would conveniently forget to reduce his health when he took damage. The DM ended up just doing it herself, and then he'd sneak extra HP back on when he thought she wasn't looking. Here's the thing, the website they used let the DM see all health bars in real time. Every change, every adjustment, he didn't know that. One session ended after a big fight. Everyone leveled up, but since they hadn't taken a long rest, the DM told them to keep their health where it was. She'd give them a rest next session, but really, she wanted to see who would follow directions, specifically him. She checked the game periodically throughout the week. All the health bars stayed the same. Then, about 30 minutes before the next session, Zerkek's HP magically shot back up to full. The player snuck in, topped himself off, left, and then came back after everyone else arrived, pretending to be late. The DM called him out. Again, he continued anyway. At this point, it's not even cheating. It's a ritual. He shows up, he cheats, he gets caught, he says whoops, and he does it again 30 seconds later. It's like watching a pigeon walk into a glass door over and over, except the pigeon thinks it's outsmarting the glass. And on top of the cheating, he was getting more disrespectful by the week. He kept joking that he'd rather play The Witcher 3 than show up for sessions. Sometimes you could hear the game's soundtrack playing over his microphone. He kept accusing the DM of cheating on her dice rolls, even though she always used the site's 3D dice roller with open rolls. Classic projection from a classic narcissist. The DM saw it clearly now. In this player's mind, she wasn't the storyteller. She was the final boss. The cheating wasn't laziness, it was him trying to outwit her, to beat her, to win Dungeons and Dragons. At the end of one session, the same one where Zerkek laughed as the girl carved a Z into her forehead, the party was in a new part of the city, tracking down a nimblewright. From a nearby alleyway stepped a woman. Beautiful, drop-dead gorgeous, wild curly red hair, freckles, fierce eyes. She looked, and this is not a coincidence, exactly like Triss Merigold from The Witcher. Zerkek shot toward her like a missile. He landed, unfurled his peacock tail and trapped her in the alley. She looked him up and down with pure incredulity and told him he really wasn't her type. Zerkek leaned in. That's what they all say at first. The half-elf warlock sprinted over to defuse the situation. Sorry about him, what's your name? Any landmarks around here we should know about? The woman was still staring at Zerkek. She jerked her thumb behind her and said, he's more my type, and the name's Catty-Bree. From the shadows behind her stepped a drow with 2 scimitars. End of session. If you know your Forgotten Realms lore, you just felt a chill go down your spine. That's Drizzt Do'Urden, arguably the most famous character in all of D&D, and Zerkek just tried to hit on his wife. In an alley, with a peacock tail. 1 week. The player had 1 full week to figure out how to handle the fact that he had just cornered the wife of the most dangerous swordsman in the realms. 1 week to research, strategize, and come up with a plan. And what did he come up with? What was Zerkek's master strategy? Racial slurs. When the next session started, Zerkek opened his mouth, and a stream of slurs about drow started pouring out. Everyone's jaw hit the floor. His plan, his genuine, thought-through plan, was to spew racist garbage at Drizzt, because he thought it would goad the drow into not attacking him. That by reminding Drizzt how awful people think drow are, he could guilt him into not acting like a stereotypical violent drow. He tried to racism his way out of a boss fight. Drizzt charged, and Zerkek did what Zerkek always does, he flew away. Up into the sky, gloating about how this silly drow couldn't possibly reach him up here. Then a 600-pound black panther materialized above him in midair. Genwivar, Drizzt's astral panther companion, grappled Zerkek and dragged him to the ground. And there, Drizzt was waiting. The scimitars went to work, blood and feathers everywhere. While the peacock was getting carved up, the warlock, bless that warlock, found the other companions of the hall. He rolled an incredible persuasion check with Regis, and the 2 of them ran back and forth between the others, convincing them one by one to help stop the fight. After several more successful checks, they managed to talk Drizzt down. Zerkek wasn't worth his time. The companions walked away, leaving Zerkek a bloody heap on the ground with 2 HP. The only reason he was still alive was that warlock and the fact that Drizzt rolled 3 3s in a row on his attack rolls. Zerkek, of course, took this as further proof of his divinity. Then the nimblewright the party had been hunting popped out, plucked one of his tail feathers, and knocked him to 0 HP out cold. He got beaten nearly to death by the most legendary hero in D&D history, saved only by pure luck and the warlock doing damage control, and his takeaway was, "I must truly be a god. The delusion is structural. It's load-bearing. Remove it and the whole character collapses." So Zerkek survived, barely, his feathers ruined, his body broken, his ego somehow even more inflated than before. But the DM, she's been patient, she's been watching, and she built a trap into the very foundation of this character, a trap the player agreed to with a smile on his face. Every god in the Forgotten Realms hates Zerkek. The player signed off on that, and when the player finally does something so blatant, so undeniable that even his friends can't look away, those gods are going to come collecting. Part 3 is coming, and the peacock's feathers are about to burn.